Daniel had always believed his mother's words. She told him his father had died in an accident when Daniel was only 3 years old. For as long as he could remember, his mother, Laura, had been both his comfort and his shield. She worked long hours, saved every penny, and raised him with love and discipline. Their small apartment was quiet, filled with old photo frames and the soft hum of the television in the evenings. Daniel never questioned his past. He trusted the story he had been given. When Daniel turned 22, he received a letter in the mail. It was an ordinary white envelope with his name written neatly on the front. Inside was a short message: Daniel Carter, if you are reading this, please know that your father is alive. I have tried to reach you many times. I hope one day you will look for me, Michael Carter. Daniel's hands began to shake. He read the letter again and again, hoping it was a mistake, a cruel joke, or a scam. His heart pounded so loudly he could hear it in his ears. That night, he waited for his mother to come home from work. When she entered the apartment, tired and carrying her usual grocery bag, Daniel stood up from the sofa and held out the letter. His voice was low and unsteady. Mom, who is Michael Carter? Laura froze. The color drained from her face. She dropped the grocery bag, and apples rolled across the floor. For a long moment, she said nothing. Her eyes filled with tears. Daniel felt a sharp pain in his chest. Mom, please, he said softly. Tell me the truth. Laura sat down slowly. Her shoulders trembled as she began to cry. She covered her face with her hands. I never wanted you to find out like this, she whispered. Daniel knelt in front of her. Is he my father? He asked. Laura nodded. Yes. Michael is your father. He didn't die. I lied to you. Daniel felt like the ground had disappeared under his feet. His whole life suddenly felt like a story built on sand. Why? He asked, his voice breaking. Why would you lie to me about something like that? Laura took a deep breath. Because I was young and angry and hurt. Your father and I had a terrible fight when you were a baby. He wanted to move to another city for work. I didn't want to leave my family. We said cruel things to each other. One night, he left. I thought he would come back in a few days. He didn't. She wiped her tears. Weeks passed. I tried to call him, but his number had changed. I heard from a friend that he had moved abroad. I felt abandoned and humiliated. When you started asking about your father, I told myself it was easier to say he was dead than to explain that he left us. Daniel stood up and turned away. His hands were clenched into fists. So you stole my father from me, he said bitterly. Laura cried harder. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to feel rejected. I didn't want you to think your own father didn't want you. Daniel couldn't look at her. He grabbed his jacket and walked out of the apartment. The cold night air hit his face, but it didn't calm him. His thoughts were racing. Every memory of his childhood now felt different. Every Father's Day at school, every moment he felt alone, every time he wished he had a dad to teach him how to ride a bike or fix a car. It all came back to him at once, heavy and painful. He spent the night walking through the city. In the morning, he went to a small cafe and read the letter again. There was an address at the bottom. It was only 2 hours away by bus. Daniel didn't think twice. He packed a small bag and bought a ticket. The bus ride felt endless. His heart was filled with fear and hope at the same time. What if his father didn't want to see him? What if the letter was old and the address was wrong? When the bus finally stopped, Daniel stepped out and looked around. It was a quiet town with small houses and narrow streets. He followed the address to a modest blue house with a white fence. He stood outside the gate for several minutes, unable to move. Finally, he took a deep breath and knocked on the door. After a moment, a man opened it. He had gray hair and tired eyes. When he saw Daniel, his face changed. His eyes widened, and his lips trembled. Daniel, he whispered. Daniel nodded. Are you Michael Carter? The man stepped forward slowly. Yes, I'm your father. They stared at each other in silence. Then Michael's eyes filled with tears. I've waited so long for this moment, he said. I tried to find you and your mother, but she moved. I didn't know where you were. I never stopped thinking about you. Daniel felt his anger melt into confusion and sadness. My mother told me you were dead, he said quietly. Michael closed his eyes. I was afraid she might do that. I wrote letters for years. None of them came back, but I never got a reply. They went inside and sat at the small kitchen table. Michael showed Daniel old photographs of him as a baby. He told him stories about the night he was born, how he held him for the first time, how he promised himself he would be a good father. Daniel listened, his chest tight with emotion. For the first time in his life, he felt the warmth of a father's presence. It hurt and healed him at the same time. 2 days later, Daniel returned home. Laura was sitting on the sofa, her eyes red from crying. Daniel stood in front of her. I met him, he said. He never abandoned me. He tried to find me. Laura covered her mouth. I was wrong, she said softly. I let my pain turn into a lie that hurt everyone. Daniel took a deep breath. The truth never stays hidden, Mom. It always finds a way out. Laura reached for his hand. Can you ever forgive me? Daniel hesitated. Then he held her hand. I'm hurt. I'm angry. But you're still my mother. I don't want more lies in my life. They cried together, not just for the past, but for the lost years and the fragile hope of a new beginning.